Good morning. And welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we are so glad you're with us. My name is Emily O'Neill, and my pronouns are she and hers, and I'm serving as this morning's worship associate. We are growing a community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those at home who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so we can know more about you. I did have an announcement here. It says, been coming to church for a while now and planning on sticking around. Please fill out a name button request form on the button wall outside the bathrooms so we can get to know you by name. You don't need to be a member to have a name button. I also happen to be the person who makes the name buttons, so you can also ask me if you have questions. Okay, now we invite you all to take this opportunity to silence your cell phones so that we can be fully present to one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea in the kitchen window and stay for conversation, or head down to the end of the long hallway to join a group for the brown bag brunch. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now, let us center our hearts and minds with the ringing of the chimes.
New year, new chimes. Good morning. I am ridiculously happy to see each of you and all of you in this space together. What a joy to start off this church program year on such a gorgeous summer, fall on the way day. We're starting a new year of shared ministry this morning, and I couldn't be more happy. My name is Reverend Tara. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the minister of this congregation, Allen Avenue UU Church, or A2U2 for short. I'm joined in leadership this morning by Emily, our Director of Religious Education, and Dale, our Director of Music. Our worship celebration this morning is a celebration designed with all ages in mind, so there is no separate RE program today. If, however, your child or you kiddos would like to play in the nursery, we have nursery care available with Kaylee and Lex, and you can see an usher in the back of the sanctuary. That being said, it is truly a joy to be together with all ages here in the sanctuary today. The wiggles and noises that the youngest among us make are a joyful reminder of the life and vibrancy of this multi-generational community where all are welcome. We remember that a noisy church is a healthy, happy church. Amen. As you settle in and arrive fully in the here and now, hear these words of invocation by my colleague, the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Today, God is running late, trying to find their seat, scanning the room for someone they know or someone they don't. God's feeling evangelical, but not in a judgy way. Mysterious, but not manipulative. They can't stop thinking about the James Webb Telescope and the possibility that time is not linear, which they might have guessed from the never-ending urgency of some upcoming election, and the likelihood that sometime next week Halloween candy will show up in the grocery store. God is tired of grief and white supremacy and the warming of the oceans. But God's hearing aid batteries ran out, and they haven't had time to order more, or that's what they say when asked, and can hear the question, but really, that last emergency room visit maxed their credit cards, and their partner's been working DoorDash for some extra cash, but it's just not enough And really, God just wants to be present. Stop worrying about everything. Sing, breathe, and laugh. We got you, we'll say. We will settle in, and we will be present, and we will sing. We will tell stories and breathe deep. We'll remember ourselves and offer whole galaxies of gratitude for all this beauty, for still blooming zinnias, and soon full apple trees, zucchini bread, tomatoes, new teachers, for protest letters, entire villages of people saying, "You are safe here, Holy One. Your creation is not yet done, creating you." Friends, come into this space where we are reminded that we are co-creators of this beautiful and broken world, and that creation, thank God, is not yet done. Come and be welcome. You are joyfully called to worship.
The flame of our chalice this morning is a symbol of the warmth and brightness of our connections. The flame lights our way back together again from our separate summer lives, and it lights our way forward into this new church year of promise and renewal.
We gather today in the context of a complex and broken world. This past week brought another school shooting to a Georgia community, affecting us all. Unthinkable violence and suffering continues to unfold in Gaza as global leaders, ours included, allow it to escalate. So we take a moment now to light our candle of community, to allow ourselves to feel what is real and true, the pain alongside the promise, and to recommit ourselves anew to the work of resisting hate in all its forms. Will you take a breath with me? We also know that joy is a vital part of our resistance. So you are invited to rise in body or in spirit and make a joyful noise together, singing our opening hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Dale will play it through once, and then let's sing it together 3 times, not in a round, because just no. Question. Have any of you ever been on a long hike or walk or adventure where you brought a backpack with you? You have? What did you put in your backpack? Water, snacks, flashlight, trail mix, toothbrush, flashlight, Band-Aids, sleeping bag, compass, raincoat, sunglasses, okay. Toilet paper, all right, let's stop now. Katrina's clearly going camping. So why did you bring water in particular? Thirsty. Hydrate. What else? Can't live without it. I don't know who said that, but okay. So Sue. Pausing to drink water helps us to rehydrate and keep our energy up and keep all of our bodily functions going so that we can do whatever it is that we're doing as an activity. Some backpacks, like the ones Emily and I are wearing, mine in particular, is made specially for water. That's actually all that fits in the backpack. So how about a race? How many of you have ever run a race or did some sort of race where you couldn't actually bring all sorts of stuff like toilet paper and toothbrushes and water with you? Catherine, I see you. I know. I saw you at the beach to beacon. Who else? So how do you get nourishment and water during those kinds of events? Water stations. Yes, so we're going to talk about water stations for a second. I want to share a brief story with you about a rookie mistake I made having to do with water stations on my first long-distance cross-country ski race. So Emily's going to be the water station. I was racing my first 15-kilometer Nordic ski race. There was a water station. All the coaches had Gatorade. And I thought, I don't need to stop because if I stop, I'll slow down, drink the drink, throw the cup, and by the time I keep going, I will have lost time. What do you think happened to me? I lost time. Why? Too thirsty, lost energy, low blood sugar, crash. So, where'd the cup go? What we actually know to be true is that even when you slow down, drink, throw the cup, have an amazing volunteer to catch your cup, that over time, you actually save energy and you're able to travel long distances faster, which is the point of racing, kind of, for some of us. So it's sort of like the tortoise and the hare, except the reason that the hare wins in the end isn't because the hare went slow, but because the hare stopped at every water stop. And that the hare beats out the tortoise in the end. No, the tortoise beats out the hare in the end. You know what I'm saying. So one of the things that we're talking about today is the idea of what are some water stops in your own life? What are the things that maybe are inconvenient, like perhaps coming to church or doing self-care or reconnecting with people, doing those practices that refill your spiritual and emotional cup? It might be faster not to do them, but if you don't, you notice that over time you become depleted. So think about what your own personal water station is, and we'll get back to this idea a little bit later in the service. Would you join me now in the spirit of prayer? Spirit of life, we give you thanks this day of reconnecting, of gathering together, of celebrating a new beginning in the life of this beloved community. We give thanks for the turning of the seasons, for the shifts and changes in our lives that bring us closer to one another and to the love at the center of all things. We hold in our hearts this morning all those who are struggling in our families, our communities, and the wider world. There is no end to the suffering in this world, it seems, but neither is there an end to the love, a truth that blesses us every day. Be with us, Holy One, love beyond all names as we begin a new chapter, as we seek love, to love one another more deeply, as we seek justice more fiercely, as we return to the waters of your care. In the name of the Spirit that is within, between, and among us all, I pray. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Chris. My pronouns are he, him, and goofball. That's not a pronoun, is it? Oh well. Anyway, now is the time in our service where we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the ministries of this congregation and our work in the broader community. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in the world. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Family Promise, whose mission is to help low-income families and families experiencing homelessness achieve sustainable independence. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on our website. And if you're a member, on Breeze, remembering to make note that your gift is for the Share the Plate. And if you're visiting us for the first time this morning, please know your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
Each year when we come together in September, we, along with hundreds of other UU congregations across the country, celebrate the Unitarian Universalist Water Communion, a ritual of gathering and celebrating all we bring with us to our beloved faith community. It's important to be aware of where it is that we come from and where it is that we gather. This congregation and our 6.5 acres of land are part of what's now known as the Kapisic Brook Watershed, unceded ancestral lands and waterways of the Wabanaki peoples. As we merge our waters this morning into one common bowl, I invite you to think both about where you're coming from and what you're bringing to this community as we begin a new year. What does it mean to be people of and in this place, in this moment in time? Emily will begin in a few moments by pouring water from last year's ritual and the year before, as well as some water for those of you who are not in the sanctuary this morning physically. Zoom worshipers, you are invited to type into the chat where you are joining us from in space and what your water symbolizes, what you bring with you to this new season of shared ministry. You'll also notice on the Joys and Sorrows table, though it is small, an empty cup by our bowl, decorated with the pattern of a keffiyeh, a traditional Palestinian garment. Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East have invited congregations this year to place an empty cup on our tables today, a prayerful act in recognition of and solidarity with the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza who are denied potable water at this time. We join this morning with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists in remembering that the water we pour, that the gifts we bring are blessings never to be taken for granted. We're going to gather our water today a little bit differently than we have before, by direction. So those who are here in person, who traveled here this morning from the north or from the west, North Deering, Falmouth, Cumberland, North Yarmouth, Freeport, Yarmouth, Windham, Gorham, Westbrook, Lisbon, and Hebron, and yes, we have folks here from all of those towns, which is amazing, are invited now to come forward to either table up front, maybe the table on the side you're on, and pour a small amount of water that you brought or from the pitchers, which are from the church tap, into our common bowl in a sacred ritual of return. Friends, come. All things are now ready. Those of you coming from the east and the south, you will go after we sing. So we're going to sing together now a hymn, at the risk of embarrassing Rick, that Rick wrote, and it's not in our hymnal, but it will be up on the screen, We Are One. Dale will play through the tune once, and then you are invited to rise in body and in spirit as we join our voices in song.
Now is the time to gather our waters from the south and from the east. Those here in person who have traveled this morning from the south or the east, neighborhoods of Deering, Munjoy Hill, the east and west ends, and towns of South Portland, Scarborough, Cape Elizabeth, Old Orchard Beach, are now invited to come forward and pour a small amount of your water, or the water in the pitchers from the church tap, into our shared bowl, reflecting on where you come from and what you bring.
We have gathered our waters from the north, the east, the south, and the west together into two common vessels, which will become one common vessel after worship, here in our sanctuary on Allen Avenue. And a new beginning is upon us. This summer, those of us with the privilege to do so approached time somewhat differently than we do the rest of the year. Time for recuperating, slowing down, spending more hours outdoors, perhaps seeing loved ones, unplugging a bit. And of course, the world keeps turning, and while some of us rested, others among us have been trying to make ends meet, taking care of sick family members, organizing for justice, searching for employment. Our hearts and spirits may be mostly rested from our time away, immersed in summer activities, but I know that at the same time, all of us are anxious about the political landscape as we approach the election in November. Some of us are hopeful, others are terrified, most of us a mix of both. Much is on the line these days. The state of our democracy, of course, and the very lives of those who exist, who live on the margins. For those of us who had the privilege to rest, it is time to get back to work. For the privilege to rest comes with the responsibility to engage. The privilege to rest comes with the responsibility to engage, but this year, with so much at stake, we must re-examine the ways in which we engage. I really believe this to be true. Early on in the COVID pandemic, when we were all locked in at home, I learned about what Dr. Ann Maston, psychologist and professor of child development, calls surge capacity. Surge capacity is a collection of adaptive systems, mental and physical, that humans draw on for short-term survival in acutely stressful situations. Our surge capacity is what gets us through 24-hour hospital shifts, newborn babies, political campaigns, in particular those that mobilized at the last minute, and short-term community organizing efforts. That time, too, after a death but before a funeral, spent planning, organizing, calling, and visiting with loved ones. Short-term survival in acutely stressful situations. But though the threat of fascism and political violence feel like an acute crisis, because they are also chronic, systemic, and distracting those working for justice with panic and fear and urgency is a very effective tactic. And so as we become increasingly aware that rebuilding the fabric of our polarized nation will not happen in a 4-year term, that no matter the outcome of November's election, the work of love and justice has no end, we are learning the limits of surge capacity, of engaging in our work in the world in this way. In this ongoing season of collective uncertainty, fear, anxiety, systemic injustice, and chronic stress, we must engage differently. We must pace ourselves and continue to return to the water. And I'll note that pacing well does assume that we're in the race in the first place. Don't run past the water station. Pause along the way. Trust your pacing. Return to the water, to drink deep from the well of what nourishes your spirit, your heart, and your physical body. It will be different for each and every one of us. Return to this community each Sunday to fill your cup and borrow hope, even when yours is running low. I heard recently the idea that hope belongs to the commons. It's our job to cultivate it so that we can share when we don't have it. That feels a lot more doable to me. Return to this community to refill your cup, even if your work isn't finished. The dishes aren't done, the exam looms, even if you could be accomplishing something. Return to the woods, the ocean, the garden. Keep making art. All of it is resistance. Lean on the people in your life who can see the big picture, and let their vision inspire your own. There is a reason we pour water together into one vessel, or two, that will become one. A reason why, since the beginning of time, people have gathered in community to make meaning of their lives. All of us need all of us to make it through. To sustain hard efforts over long distances, by keeping our commitments, by not giving up, grounding ourselves in love with a capital L, and holding each other accountable for pacing ourselves, for returning to the water again and again and again. This is the work of our Unitarian Universalist faith. This is the work. And aren't we lucky to be in such good company for all that lies ahead? We have all that we need right here. Friends, welcome home, and blessed be. Our closing hymn is number 299 in your gray hymnal and up on the screen. Make channels for the streams of love. Dale will play through once, and you're invited to rise in body or spirit as we join our voices as one. Spirit of ocean and sea, river and pond, raindrops and morning dew, what grace your presence is among us. May we live in gratitude through posture and action. May we be faithful in returning land to its tenders, returning to right relationship with our own creaturely bodies, and returning our attention to the protection of this planet, of our precious selves, and of one another, that life may flourish locally and globally. Our worship has ended, and our service begins. Friends, go in peace. you.